Welcome to Read the Tape. I guess first I should say my name's Mike Shapiro, and I am the host, and my co-host here is Rodney Mathews.
Yes.
Amazing Rodney Mathews. And I will explain what does Read the Tape mean. Read the Tape means is basically I was a trader or a market maker in Chicago, and basically I would read the tape. So it comes from the 1920s, a ticker tape, and I would have to watch the stocks tick. And effectively speaking, that was information that I have to read, and I have to make rapid decisions on what would be the right thing to buy or sell. And I could make or lose millions within seconds. So it taught me something very rapidly about how to read people, how to read information, how to read businesses, and make those decisions. So it really was a cornerstone in my career.
You could lose millions.
Probably a little longer.
Okay.
Like 5 seconds.
But either way, it's scary.
It was scary.
That's
intense.
intense.
I could either, as the story goes on the floor, you could either be a millionaire at the end of the day or be homeless and living in your car. So
Yikes.
It was a scary time. So, but fortunately, it was.
You made it out.
I made it out, yes. I was not living in the car. Although the car was really nice. It had massage seats and cooling seats anyway. So who are we? What are we all about? So I'm going to go first, and I'll give you a little bit of a bio. I ended up moving from Chicago with my wife, and we went back to Arizona, and I continued to trade off the floor, and I formed a venture capital firm, and I started investing in a multitude of businesses. So what does that teach me? Well, first of all, remember, from being a trader, I learned something. You have to be right only 51% of the time. So I was already set up for failing 49% of the time. That's where people fail. They don't understand it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail 49% of the time. So it taught me how to be a venture capitalist, which I always called Venture Capital. And so subsequently, it made me go into a multitude of businesses. Mm-hmm. And I've had a really diverse, amazing career, meeting amazing people, and it's been a lot of fun. And so the last several things that I've done, because I don't want to bore all of you, it could take me hours, and I love to talk about myself. I bet you don't realize that. So the last thing I did was I invested in a artificial intelligence company, and we're pricing every single house in the United States by the second, which led me into another career in real estate. Remember, I ended up running the largest Sotheby's in the world. We ended up bringing about $7.2 billion in business. We had over 1,000 agents, and we ended up selling. And I'm rambling now forever here. So let me just move on to Rodney, who's far more interesting than me.
No, not at all.
I just talked about.
So you're on the good side of AI, right? Because AI,
Yes.
The AI stuff scares me a little bit. But when it comes to the housing market, I'll deal with that type of AI. Hi, everybody. I'm Rodney Mathews. I am born and raised out here in Southern California. Born in North Hollywood. Grew up in Rancho Cucamonga, California. So a lot of people love to make fun of my city name. Please don't.
Where did that come from?
I just know a lot of people. Everyone's like, oh, where are you from? And I always want to say LA. But I know for a fact I grew up an hour outside of LA, and people are very particular about neighborhoods. So, yeah, just know I'm born and raised Southern California, and we'll keep it at that. Hopefully we got people nationwide. A lot of people will know me from a dating show called The Bachelor.
But you're considered one of the nicest bachelors in history, is that correct?
I think I might be up there. I'll let the people say that for themselves, but I know that I was able to gain a major fan base and following because of the love and recognition that I got from that show. And I think it's because a lot of people could really resonate with my story, and feel like they can relate in that sense, of obviously everybody wants to be chosen. And when you're not, it's always kind of tough, especially in an environment like that where it's
Was it thrilling? Like, what was the feeling like when they said you're on the show?
So that part was definitely pretty thrilling because I didn't know what to make of it, right? I was like, wait, what? They actually chose me to be on it? Because there's thousands of people that they look at, thousands of guys. And then when you're one of 25 to 30 that are chosen, it's kind of it's kind of an honor in a sense, but also a scary thing of I'm about to put my whole life on the line. I'm about to put, not in that sense, but I'm being vulnerable and being open to where people could really see every single thing about me.
So you think your success was your honesty, that you approached it like accurately?
I think truly like giving my entire self to the show and being very open and vulnerable is what helped people resonate with me and just say like, okay, I've been there. I've wanted to be chosen and really given my all and my full amount and effort and energy and still not being chosen. I think everyone's kind of gone through that story before. So to see it play out live on national TV, I think is kind of a wake-up call for a lot of people of like, wow, I've been there, I've done that.
That's great.
I can feel what he's going through right now, you know? And when you see someone's emotion on their face, kind of for the nation to see, or the world to see, it's tough.
So it's interesting, you know, because your career, you're very young and I'm old. And so you put yourself in an extremely vulnerable position. So like the rest is easy. And so you chose something else for the next part of your career, which is even another vulnerable position.
Yeah. I mean, especially in the market that we're in and how saturated it may be, I still chose, I was like, hey, I want to give this a shot, and I want to give this all my full energy, effort, attention, knowing that I can help people in this space. You know, 5 years ago.
So they don't know what you're doing.
Okay. Yeah. Just a quick reminder, I am a real estate agent now. So I pivot and change my career path post show.
Sure.
And I want to do my best to help people in that space. You know, 5 years ago, I bought my first house pre-pandemic.
Very young. That's pretty impressive.
Yes. Yeah. I was 27 years old at the time.
Wow. Well, you beat the average.
I was very blessed. I saved up money for a long time for my last job, and I knew the time was right, and thank God I had my mom with me to kind of guide me through that process.
That's great.
And highlight the importance of that, you know, especially being at that age and really trying to just grow up and be independent on my own. And so that was a huge, major achievement for me. And honestly, till this day, it feels like my biggest achievement, and I'll never forget that thrill. And so all I want to do is help people with that thrill, and whether it's first-time home buyers or you're buying your 10th property, no matter what it may be, I want to help people with that thrill and help them achieve the dream of home ownership.
Well, having coached hundreds and hundreds of real estate agents, you're definitely going to be fantastic. I know you'll be very successful.
That means a lot coming from you.
The biggest thing is vulnerability.
Yes.
So if you already put yourself on a national stage in the most vulnerable way, so this is easy. You're asking somebody if they want to buy or sell a house. It's going to be a lot easier than saying, hey, will you date me? On a national program.
For the world to see.
For the world to see.
It's definitely a little different.
That is awesome. Well, congratulations. And I know you're going to be successful. I have a really good batting average. So I'm thrilled to watch and help you attain your success in real estate.
Yes, and I look forward to your mentorship. All right, Mike. So we got to let the people know, man. What is this podcast about? Why are we here? What makes us different, man?
So what this is about is the two of us are just going to talk about ourselves for about an hour on a weekly podcast and make ourselves feel better about ourselves. So I'm sure everyone's going to be riveted by this. So what is this about?
Yeah.
Well, this is about us exploring other entrepreneurs, other great people, other entertainers, other people or celebrities. What makes them tick? Why do they tick? And how do they get where they are? So how did that get generated? And why did we do this? Is because I want to, and I assume you do as well, want to pass along information that I learned at a very young age.
Yes.
And subsequently, I love helping young people. I love helping people become entrepreneurs. I love helping people get to their goals and where they want to go. There's nothing better, and I think you feel similarly, about having someone say to you, you know, wow, you really changed my life. You really helped me. And so that's what this is about.
Exactly. And I love that too. I know a lot of people, especially within my circle or friends and family, whatever it may be, they're always hitting me up or calling me up for advice. Whether it's no matter what the sphere is in life, they're always looking for advice. And I think that this is huge, especially now roles are kind of switched in this position where I'm looking for you for advice, but also our guests as well. They want to make sure that they tap into this wealth of knowledge. And so even us being two completely different generations, I'm able to pick up wisdom from you.
I'm probably going to pick up a lot more
and you're going to pick up some stuff from me as well.
Right, 100%.
But still, we're going to go back and forth each and every episode, and that's what I'm really excited about. Both of us learning from each other while also learning from our guests and their stories as well. And also our listeners.
All 5 of our listeners.
All 5 listeners, our whole entire audience and fan base, all 10 of them, add in the families as well. But yeah, it's going to be great. And, you know, let's let people know they got to tune in every single week because it's going to be some exciting stuff.
We're going to have a segment of this program about Shark Tank. And so I feel it's a really interesting thing to explore. People that have been on the show and they may not have gotten investment, or they've been on the show, have gotten investment, and where did that go? Was it helpful? Was it not helpful? I do coach a lot of people in my career, and I'm always interested to see, you know, how does that work? How does it not work? And so maybe we can help these people. With that, let's bring our first guest. here are our two first guests. They're incredible, amazing, major influencers, and also fitness gurus. We have Ryan Bentson and we have Larry Wheels. And without me giving the resume, I will let them take it away.
So, yeah, my name is Ryan Bentson. I've been a bodybuilding coach for the last 25 years. I started Team Zero Gravity in 2001. So, been coaching. I've probably coached hundreds of Mr. Olympia competitors and been doing it for a very, very long time. I'm a retired bodybuilder myself, so don't currently do it anymore, but...
well, you look like you do it.
I try to hold it together, but I've been training since I was about 13 years old and transitioned that into my career now as a coach going on 25 years. And I've had the privilege of coaching some of the best athletes in the world. One of them sitting right next to me, Mr. Larry Wheels.
Yes, sir. And first off, thanks for having us, guys.
Oh, please. Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it, guys.
And as Ryan said, I'm Larry Wheels. I am a powerlifter, arm wrestler, bodybuilder, and strongman competitor. I have 3 world records in 3 different weight classes. I have been a content creator and entrepreneur since I'm 17. So I'm now 29. It's been about 13 years. It's been a great one so far. I met Ryan last year, actually, to take him on as my coach, to take bodybuilding very seriously, as I think just for my motivation, it's tremendous what it's doing for me right now, because things got a bit monotonous after getting to the summit of powerlifting, and I just always seek new challenges, which is why I dabble in multiple different disciplines. So now that I have what I consider to be the best coach in the world, we're pursuing many different ventures besides bodybuilding, such as gyms and other businesses that I never would have imagined would come from me moving back to the States so soon. I lived in Dubai for the past 4 years, from 19 to 22, got back January last year, and it has just been off to the races ever since.
That's great.
Wow. Things have been a bit stagnant over there. I got a little too comfortable. Life was real good. But I needed a challenge, so I came back.
Great. Well, let's talk about, how did the two of you meet one another? How did that all happen?
Well, like Larry said, one day I got a phone call from Larry's business manager and said, we're looking for, Larry Wheels is looking to compete in bodybuilding. And we're interviewing some coaches. You're one of the names that came up. And so I said, I'm honored. Great. Let's do it. And he said, well, you have time right now. Let's get on the phone. So we got on a 3-way call. We hit it off right away, and Larry said, I said, when you want to start? He said, tomorrow. He said, okay, I'll be there. I jumped in the car the next day. We met at a gym out in Encino and started training there every day, and we were making that drive every day to Encino and back.
Oh, that's rough.
Like 2 hours plus, depending on the
That's
traffic.
a long drive.
LA traffic.
So,
were you lifting in the car on the way there?
Jump on the way there so that I didn't feel inferior.
So
when
were
I
you
got
both
there.
in the same car?
Been many times since.
Do people look at you when you're driving in the car together? Do people notice the size of the two of you?
It depends on the car. I got rid of my Mazda Miata. So.
Okay, there you go.
It's like, we got to make sure you guys are covered.
So that's how we met, and it was through coaching. I started coaching Larry, and right away, started expressing some of the ideas that I had, things that I wanted to do to move forward with my career. And since then, we partnered up on a lot of business ventures. And like you said, it's been off to the races. So it's been great.
Now our next business venture is opening up a gym.
Well, let's talk about that. So, this show is about entrepreneurship. This is about taking those risks. This is about like why, what, where, how, and when. So this idea came to you how?
Well, let me tell this, Mike, you had a part in this because I was coming down to Costa Mesa to train Mike. And
that's right. But I was a failure.
Yeah, we didn't really work out much. But I was coming down there to hang out with Mike.
It was fun.
And, the great thing about that was being around. I kind of expressed some of the ideas I had, and I was a little bit stagnant. Not stagnant, just very comfortable doing what I've done for the last 25 years. And you definitely challenged me a little bit and said, why aren't you doing more? Why aren't you doing this, 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 and this? And I went home that day, and I was like, I should be doing.
I thought I was being pretty brutal with you.
No.
Like, what are you doing?
Mike's gonna make you think.
It definitely was. It got me thinking, and so right away started looking at locations of places that I wanted to open a gym. And it has always been a goal of mine I've owned gyms now for over 20 years, but they're private gyms. And I've always wanted to open that big bodybuilding mecca gym that is just like a playground for people who are into lifting weights like the rest of us meatheads, right? So I wanted to open up that gym, and I've always wanted to do it. And originally I was going to do it and I had a partner in mind that I was going to work with, and it just fell off real quickly. And one day I was training Larry early on and was expressing my frustrations with the roadblocks that I was having with the partner that I was supposed to work with. And Larry turned and said, "You want a new partner?"
So what made you do that? Like, what motivated you? Like, what did you see in Ryan? It's always interesting to me how partnerships form or why.
Now, ever since I got started on social media, I've gotten tons of attention since the beginning.
You're a massive social media star, so let's just say it. I know you won't ever say you're modest.
Yeah,
you have millions and millions of followers. So that's
I've done it a while, and I've been given lots of respect and praise, and I'm really grateful for my platform because it's allowed me to connect with people like Ryan, but also connect with people that aren't right for things that I'm interested in doing. Ever since I got started, I've had countless people tell me, "Hey, let's open a gym. You should open a gym. It's going to be a great idea." I said, "It is a great idea, but maybe not doing it with you." Right?
Oh.
And no disrespect to the people.
Were you always honest like that?
You know, I wasn't always honest like that.
Okay.
I would definitely beat around the bush, and I wouldn't tell them straight up to their face.
That's tough.
Yeah,
That's tough.
Yeah, but I always left that door open for anybody, right? When opportunity comes knocking, I always answer, and not everyone's the right fit for that because at this point in my life,
I love that. I tell people that all the time. Like, take every call, take every meeting. I love that you said that. That's really important for success. It's awesome.
I think that's powerful.
Yeah, it's powerful.
And I don't believe necessarily in concepts, but rather in people. And when I met Ryan, from the day that we were introduced to one another from my manager, the very next day he was ready to take a 2-3 hour drive out of his busy schedule to come and train me. So that showed tremendous initiative. Right. Then when I met him, he's very articulate, well-spoken, good sense of humor, and he just had that go-getter mentality. He seemed to know bodybuilding and nutrition on the back of his hand. So he left a very strong impression, so much so that I just, when he said that, "Hey, I was going to open a gym with so-and-so," I said, "Well, I want to work with this person." It didn't even matter that it was a gym. I said, no matter what this person wants to do, I want to be a part of it.
That's
I believe in
great.
that person.
So did you feel like it was an organic click, like the two of you? Both of you felt the same time, like this just clicked?
Oh,
did you discuss
absolutely.
that, or is it like it just worked?
Absolutely, because for me, I've always been this big skeptic. I have never had a partner for that reason. Originally, when I first started gyms, it was me and my brother. That was a little bit different, but I've had a lot of opportunities that people, let me co-coach and let me help you. Honestly, through this whole process, I've had zero hesitation for whatever reason. This merger between the two of us,
That's fantastic.
just seemed to be the perfect fit. And to this day, I mean, we've been working on this project for going on a year. In about 2 weeks now, it'll be a year since we've been doing this, right?
Wow.
It's on this gym project, and we really don't butt heads on anything.
So I was there from the very beginning. Was that when we had all lunch together? Was that close to the very beginning?
You were there for
Wow.
meetings.
Well, I noticed you guys clicked right away. You had a mutual respect, which I think is very important for partnerships.
Well, I think that we, in both of us in our individual fields, have reached about the summit of what we do, and both of those are so complementary to each other. And he has things in his wheelhouse, no pun intended, that are really out of my comfort zone, and I think I have some skills that Larry doesn't possess, right? So when we both put it together, it's just a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. So honestly, Ryan, for my next question, brother, I wanted to know. Obviously, you guys are opening up the gym. You told me in Claremont, California.
Yes, sir.
So what goes into you guys picking that certain location? What factors into that decision?
So my private gym, my zero gravity training facility, is in Claremont.
Nice.
And originally we were going to go to San Dimas. We were actually looking originally. Mike was trying to get us to go.
Thank you for not doing that.
Yeah. We were trying to go in Costa Mesa originally, couldn't find the space. We're doing, we were looking at a couple locations, and truthfully, we were in negotiations on another location for about 4 or 5 months.
Wow.
And there was roadblock after roadblock after roadblock of why this wasn't working. There was trapdoors everywhere in this lease that were just not making me sit right. It wasn't sitting right. So I was leaving my location one day, and the property management, which has been amazing to us for the last 6 years that I've been in this spot, caught me in the parking lot and said, "I understand, I heard you're moving." And I said, "Yeah, we're looking for a new location." And she said, "What about this location here in our center?" I didn't even know it was available. It was the old Candlelight Dinner Theater, had been there for 38 years. Prior to that, it was the Claremont High School gymnasium.
Wow.
It's their property.
So it's a 100-plus-year-old building, and didn't know it was an option. And she came to us and said, "Take this space." And I said, "It's going to be way more expensive than we." And she says, "What are you going to pay? I'll match it."
Wow.
And then said, "And we're going to help you out as much as we can." They made us an offer that we couldn't refuse. And that day we walked in, we signed the lease and moved forward.
That
That's
sounds
great.
like fate to me.
That does sound like karma or
amazing.
kismet. That's great.
I have a strong belief in higher power here, right? So
Me too.
I believe that
Yeah.
every single thing that has happened, right, whether it's been a roadblock, the roadblock was for a reason,
Yep.
and then the certain doors have just opened. And it's been a very, I don't want to say easy process, but it's been a very, I feel like it's been a very guided process. This whole thing where just everything that was supposed to happen has happened, and it's gotten us to where we're at now. And we just haven't rushed it, and we definitely have had to shift, though. I mean, we've had to shift a lot through this process, but it's it's almost done.
This whole process since the beginning, I've seen situations happen that I never thought were possible. Like too many things that seem to be bigger than just coincidence. For example, when we were about to go sign the place in San Dimas, the landlord stopped Ryan in the parking lot before he was about to go sign that same day, and that's when she made that offer.
Wow.
Jeez.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
Everything
I can't,
happens for a reason, man.
make this up. And there was several other occasions where I was like, wow, there's definitely a higher power now.
100%.
Yeah.
So this gym, and what is the name of it?
OG Gym, One Gen.
All right, do you guys have a website up and running, or have you
I
done?
know I saw the shirt.
Yeah, it's
I was like, there we go, let's talk about
onegengym.com.
it.
I like to ask a question. Both of you have. I always talk about this sort of charisma, and I think that's what people sell. And so both of you have massive charismatic qualities. Like you both entered the room not only because of your size,
Big physical presence.
but also there's just a confidence you have in person. I'm sure the listeners or people who are watching can see that as well. How do you feel that you got that? Do you feel that it was through success, or do you feel that you were born with it, or how did you both get that?
Well, for me, it was through repetition. I mean, when I was 18, 19 years old, right, I really struggled with speech. I spoke too quickly, I mumbled, and that gave me insecurities about in social settings, right? I couldn't connect with people the way I wanted to. I had to keep repeating myself.
Wow.
I had a stuttering problem, and I would look at others that were well-spoken and articulate and look up to them and see, like, how can I adapt those charismatic qualities, and I would practice. And I really treated my speech and my vocabulary just as much with as much TLC as I treat my training for my body.
That's good.
Right.
Wow.
I think that's absolutely,
great
communication,
story.
right, and being able to connect with people, I think is the most valuable skill that anyone can have.
I agree.
Right. And when
So you're reading the tape. Sorry, I had to put that in there.
yes, sir. But if you guys were to ever go on my YouTube channel and look at my videos from about a decade ago, right, it's not the same person.
It was different.
Yeah,
Just a little
I'm
bit.
very robotic.
Really, I'd love to have a piece of that tape right now. No.
And then the last thing, I'll mention about that, some people say, well, you are either born with charisma, right, or you're not. And, I grew up believing that. So I just worked really hard at it. And now I can go in any room and talk about anything, and now I feel confident talking about it.
That is a great story. Thank you for
love
sharing
that.
that. That's great. How about you, Ryan? You were born with it, no doubt.
I mean, I've been training people since I was 16 years old, full-time since I was 17. And I've probably trained over 50,000 people in the last,
Wow.
25, 30 years.
Jeez.
That's amazing.
So I think you just develop that skill, and to be able to, and then it also comes to the confidence comes from knowing your craft. I mean, if you talk to people I coached 25 years ago, I mean, they're probably listening. I ruined I mean, I messed up a lot, early on. Like anybody
Really?
who says that they didn't is lying.
Exactly.
I mean, this is just, I learned under the tutelage of some of the most amazing coaches and bodybuilders, right? But then to devise your own system and way of doing things, it just takes a lot of practical application over a lot of years, And I just think it just takes, if you, whatever it is you're deciding that you're going to do, I think most people just don't have the longevity to just keep doing it long enough to be great at what you do, right? And so I don't care what it is. It just takes just repetitiveness over and over and over again.
You both feel excellence in your craft. The focus, the excellence has created this charismatic quality. So you walk into a room, I know what I'm doing, I'm confident, and I can execute what I tell you I'm going to execute. So you feel that it's common.
Yeah, absolutely.
thread.
When it comes to like what I do for a living or anything, I feel very comfortable to sit at a round table with anybody and they can fire off any question they have about nutrition or the body or how to train. And I feel like I could have some sort of an answer for them. But that's in this field, You want me to do math? I mean, I might be out.
Crazy.
This is interesting. You both are influencers for young people. They admire you, or they want to be you, or you're helping them. Do you feel that's part of your motivation at this point? Do you feel, I'm really helping young people feel confident, build their own charisma? I mean, is this part and parcel to some of your motivation?
I think that we have an obligation with a platform as big as we do to give back to the community, to lead the next generation, right? Absolutely. And that's 100% a big part of my motivation moving forward, right? I've been living a comfortable life for a long time. And from my early 20s, I was already one of the strongest guys in the world. So I had reached the summit of what I wanted to do very early in life. And to keep finding motivation beyond that, to keep doing that, to keep punishing my body and my mind, it needs to be for something bigger than myself.
That's great.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience of watching Larry, one of the greatest things, this is one of the things about his character that I learned early on. It doesn't matter how tired, how worn out, how long the day's been at an expo, or whether we're in a deep conversation about something important with business and we're walking through the parking lot, he gets stopped about 100 times a day, right? And no matter what age or who it is, he's stops 100% of the time to sign an autograph or take a picture.
That's great.
So he hasn't lost that part of it, which I think a lot of people eventually do. It shows. I think he appreciates the fans and takes the time to show it, and I think that's a rare quality. That's one of the things that I picked up on early on.
I got to ask, growing up, like what initially brought on your guys' passion for bodybuilding? I could tell how passionate you guys are about this. What initially brought that on?
I started at probably about 12 years old. I just always, you watch the movies, you watch everything.
Yeah.
Back when I was growing up, people were famous for actually doing things. So people were famous for doing things, and it was the icons where everybody looked up to was Arnold, and it was all these guys that were just, that's what you want to look like. And I loved bodybuilding before I knew there was such things as bodybuilding competitions. I just wanted to look that way, all the time. And I think you get you find passion in things that you get a lot of pats on the back for, right? So naturally, I was always strong growing up. So it was like my dad wanted me to arm wrestle everybody. My son, look how strong he is, right?
Yeah.
Did you always win?
Yeah. So when you
don't see him losing.
So when you get attention for something, then it really pushes you. You put a lot of time into it, and I wanted to bodybuild from the youngest age. I had a home gym, and my dad, said, "Hey, when you outgrow this 315-pound weight set here, then you could go to the gym," because I wanted to go so bad.
Wow.
And one day I called him into the garage. I was like 14 years old. I did 315 on the bench, and I said, "Get me my pass."
How old were you?
What?
I was 14.
I know.
Hitting 315?
315, and I did it when I was 14 years
I
old.
was like, I know I didn't just hear. I was like,
know, I was
I had to
like,
make
what?
sure.
I need to see a video.
At Bulldog Gym, which was like the bodybuilding gym. And there I got to train with just some of the guys that I always idolized.
Wow.
And they took me in, and from there it was over. I started competing by the time I was 16.
Wow.
And I loved it. I
That's
loved it
amazing.
ever
Ryan,
since.
you always stop. Like when I've worked out with you, people know who you are. I mean, you're well known in the business, and people stop you, and you always stop and talk to them. You know, they ask you questions like, "What should I do? How should I do this?" So you do that as well. You love doing that. Clearly,
Yeah, I
I've
think
watched
you
it.
know a lot of these young kids. At this point in my career, I think half the coaches that I'm coaching against at this point, I coached.
That's crazy.
But I love to see it. You know, I think ultimately, as somebody, as a coach, if you're going to be a good coach, you have to build a relationship with your athletes. And so, by building a relationship with your athletes, you want to see them succeed on and off stage. You know, so I don't ever see it as competition. I see it as a huge success when I now am battling at a pro show with one of my athletes who's coaching the other guys, and it's like the entire top 5 is made up of someone I'm coaching and 3 other coaches that I used to coach or still coach.
That's when you know you're doing it right.
You know, and at least you know that the process that you came up with is effective across the board, because then other people are using that method and they're having success as well.
Exactly.
Do you both find like, can you see immediately if someone is coachable? Like you're both very coachable. Not that you need coaching anymore. You've reached the pinnacle. You know, you're already there. But can you see when you meet people, like, well, you know, you see their genetics, or it can be amazing, but they're unwilling to listen? Do you see that a lot? Can you tell rapidly?
In the first conversation,
That quickly?
I could tell if somebody's coachable or not. And there's just so many people. That's just being narrow-sighted, because even after 25 years of coaching, if I were to say that I know everything, that I'm ignorant, because everything's evolving. And I learn something every single time I prep somebody. I could prep one guy for 15 shows, and the circumstances are different, or the starting point is different, and the approach or the way we got to the end result might be different every time. So every time you work with somebody, you're learning something. Eventually, you know, you run into a problem and you go, I've seen this before. I know what it was. I've done this 10 years ago. This person had the same issue as what we did. You know, but it's constantly challenging you. Even with the same person, they're never the same every show.
So let me ask you a question. It's like one of those questions, like, so 1 year from now, you're opening June 1st, is that correct?
June 1st.
And it's invitation only, or are you opening it to everybody, which you're going to have now, you know, hundreds of thousands of people come, so invitation only.
Open to the public.
It's open. Wow, open to the public. All right.
Yes.
So, well, that's going to be awesome. So 1 year from now, or 1 year from June 1st, so June 1st, 2025, what do you want people to say, like, a year from now, like about the gym? What do you want? What would make you feel amazing? Like, wow, we got it. We hit it.
Well, really, I think we're only as big as our aspirations, and we both are on the same page here. When we say we want our gym to be the bodybuilding mecca of the USA, right? We want one gen gym, OG gym, to be, hey, like this is where the best bodybuilders in the world go and train at.
So you want people from around the world to come to this gym. You want them to train, compete. I gather that's going to happen.
You know, and our gym it's not for everybody. And we're not afraid to say that. You know, I believe that our gym is for those that are willing to train at a gym that's a bit more serious than a discount gym. You know, there's someone that's graduating from that and they need something a bit more serious, right? They're taking the training and the nutrition seriously, right? And we structured our business and what we have in our gym in such a way. You know, we are staying in our lane with and standing by what we believe in and building the gym that we always want.
I mean, I love that. Stay in your lane. I mean, I say that all the time.
That's been one of the greatest parts of this whole project, is how many people that I've worked with throughout the years, or Larry's worked with, that typically could see us as a threat, who have stepped in and lent us, I mean, incredible advice, you know, through this process, and really helped us along the way. But even with that, you know, everybody has their own opinion. And we sat down the other day, and I just told Larry, I said, look, we have both got to where we are by just being who we are. I've been unapologetically me. I've been known as the rebel team. We're gonna keep doing what we've always done.
All right, guys. So, bringing it back to this point right here, guys, I was wondering, at what point of your life did you know that you wanted to turn this passion of yours into your career? Like, what point did you change bodybuilding into entrepreneurship?
Well, when I was 17, I tried one semester at college. Okay. It was a community college, and I was trying to study criminal law. because that's what my best friend at the time was doing, and he had good benefits, and I didn't know what else to do with myself. So this is a comfy, stable job, and if I make it through school, and I can live a good life like he is. So I tried one semester. I couldn't apply myself because I had no interest in it, so I dropped out. And I picked up a couple of jobs as a personal trainer, waiter, and I was working double shifts, long hours, just trying to figure out what can I use my talent for? How can I monetize powerlifting, right? And now powerlifting to this day is definitely not a lucrative sport. I think till this date, despite having multiple world records, I only got about $2,000 as my biggest check for winning a competition.
Wow.
So there's no money in the sport. I did it truly for the passion of it, right? I love seeing progress when I would hit a PR, and I believe that's what drew people to my platform. They loved how excited I would get after hitting a big PR. They, I think, resonated with that. They could relate to it. It's extremely satisfying. I mean, to this day, those are some of the best moments of my life. And I was willing to...
PR meaning personal record, right?
Yes, sir.
Just for the audience.
Well, yeah, so PR meaning personal record. I was willing to give up my life for powerlifting, and I was taking things to the extreme. Whatever I thought was necessary to be number one, I was willing to do. And I was certainly doing more than necessary to reach my goals. But at 17, 18, that's what I thought I need to do to be at the top. I definitely realized my potential because I would compare and contrast people that were slightly older than me in their early 20s, getting world records that were about my size or so, and I would realize that I'm not too far off from where they are, and if I apply myself for a few more years, I could be there too. So fast forward a few years of just keeping my head down, working a couple of jobs, focusing on powerlifting, I finally got my first world record, and even not until then did I realize it could really be monetized. I hadn't figured it out yet. Someone figured it out for me. It was my coach, who's John Gaglione. He's the best powerlifting coach in the world. Wow. And he still coaches me when I do my strength training to this day. He said, hey, let's start selling ebooks. So we collaborated on that. And I actually was selling the same training programs I used to break that world record.
Wow. And how old were you at this point?
I was 21.
Wow.
And it was an overnight success.
Wow.
I just 10x my income as a PT and I was a terrible PT, to be honest. I had 2 clients. I couldn't apply myself. I was trying to flirt with them. It was just not for me. But for better, for worse, definitely for better, I'm glad that door closed because from that point onward, I was able to sustain that for years, right? I didn't ever have to go return to a 9-to-5. So it took a while to realize that this is sustainable. Initially, it was like, this is too good to be true. I mean, I was plucked out of school when I was in the 8th grade at 14 years old. I was brought to St. Martin overseas. I didn't go to school for 3 years, so I didn't get a high level of education. I didn't realize that I can do anything with myself besides lift weights or work a minimum wage job. So when I saw that money hit my account from my efforts, from honing in on my craft, you can imagine the euphoria I felt, right? Like, wow, like I actually can be something. And when I was 17, 18, I didn't see a future for myself besides being eventually a drug addict or homeless because I had no direction, no father figures in my life. I was seeking mentors, but I had not created any value in anything for a mentor figure to attract a mentor figure, right? So I was grateful at the time to be gifted at powerlifting. And when I finally took off, I've been monetizing it ever since I'm 21. And I never looked back, right? But it wasn't like I was 17 and had that light bulb moment, like, oh, I can make money from this. It was just like maybe down the line for me, but that was never what got me excited to do it in the first place. I was solely driven by my passion for hitting PRs and chasing that dream of being the best in the world at it.
Wow. That's amazing.
So you come far, really far.
Yes, sir.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely happy to be here.
We're happy to have you, man.
So for me, I it took me about 10 years to be an overnight success. I was a talented bodybuilder.
I can love that line. Can I borrow that? Yeah. It took me 10 years to be an overnight success.
Yeah. So, I basically, was successful in bodybuilding and had got some notoriety and was getting in the magazines and getting some good exposure there. But at that time, I was working other jobs. I was working for the police department. I had other jobs that I was doing early on, and I was like 17, 18 years old and didn't really know what I was going to do. What forced me to get serious real quick with my life was I became a father a week after turning 19. right? So I have a 25-year-old daughter who's amazing, by the way, but I had a daughter at 19 years old who I had full custody of since the day she was born, right? So that day, things got real serious.
So you grew up fast.
It got real serious real fast, and I said, okay, what am I going to do? I always wanted to do this. I had help from the family early on, supported me in the decision to keep doing my training, and I worked 2 jobs, 3 jobs to support my ability to grow my business as a trainer. Right. And so I opened my first gym, and everybody, I heard, oh, you're lucky you have your first gym. I mean, I worked 2 full-time jobs aside from that gym to pay the bills to keep that gym open, right, for several years. But I knew that's where I wanted to go. So whatever it took to support that business is what I kept pouring it into. And eventually, things started to just really take off. And when you start winning, then people go, wow, who'd you coach? And it just...
I love both of your honesty. That's great. I think so much today in the way our social media is, it's like instantaneous aspiration. Like, look at me, it's aspirational. But you're telling the stories of like really hard work, dedication, decades of really creating your craft. So that is really amazing. I don't mean to sound corny. I know I'm old here, but I'm really proud of both of you. It's really incredible story.
Thank you.
I have no doubt in my mind that your gym in Claremont will be the mecca of bodybuilding. So hopefully you allow me into this gym.
Gotta be there at the grand opening.
We'll turn on the music for you if you like, no problem.
Yeah, it's good. Low
Just a
music,
couple notches, okay. All right, guys. So we definitely want to leave off with this, but what is some advice that you guys would give to audience members or anyone trying to be an entrepreneur? What is some advice that you would personally give them?
Well, for me, I always made mistakes or got myself injured, which compromised my performance as an athlete, ultimately my career when I tried to rush things. When I was starting out, I always sought out the shortcut. Well, how can I get here faster, right? And every time I tried to do that, the result would be me getting injured, or just I wouldn't be performing as I thought I would, right? And the only times I broke world records was when I was under the daily supervision of my coach, because left to my own devices, I was too impatient. I would get super strong mid-preparation, and I would go off the program, and I'd hit a huge lift for Instagram, and then I'd be peaked too early, get to the competition, and then feel super weak because my central nervous system is fried, and then I'd be frustrated because I know what went wrong. It was me. I screwed up. I know that I should have just listened to my coach. I should have taken my time and saved it for the big day, but every time that I have come up short with one of my goals, it's always been trying to find the shortcut. And I'm still working on that to this day, working on respecting the time it takes to get where I want to be.
So there is no shortcut.
No, there isn't.
Too bad.
There's no, or even when I partnered with Ryan, I was expecting, that, okay, he's the best bodybuilding coach in the world, and I've only worked with one other before several years ago. So there must be some very complicated diet that I need to be on to become a great bodybuilder. But really, the diet was extremely simple, right? It was just literally what everyone thinks bodybuilding is. Chicken and rice. And then eventually no rice, just chicken.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then no salt.
Oh, wow.
And then there's just water.
Right?
Pretty much. And then we play that out too.
Wow.
Yeah, I would say for me, I have an opportunity because I work with a lot of young kids all the time, and I get asked this question often. And I just had this conversation with a young kid in my gym, and I said, "Well, what is it you're doing now?" And he says, "Well, I have a mobile detailing car business." I said, "Okay, then just do it better than everybody's doing it. Mm-hmm. Because if I'm your competition, I'm gonna go get some easy ups and print my logo on it. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna drive people's cars in the shade, and then I'm gonna go hit up this entire building and say, I want to set up a corporate business with you guys, and I'll wash everybody's car for a $10 discount, and then you don't even have to leave. Come here every Wednesday, whatever it may be, right?
Set yourself apart.
People don't treat what they're doing as an entrepreneur, right? Like a lot of people see it as a small business and don't see the big vision, right? So I think you just have to be better than everybody else at what you do to stand out. And there's a lot of tools now. We just talked about this yesterday that we were talking to some young kids about. You have social media now, which is a great avenue to stand out. But you just have to do what it is that you want to do long enough and good enough to be better than everybody else. And that's really, but I think, and you have to be able to shift. it gets hard. If every time that I hit a roadblock and said, "Oh, this isn't for me," then I would have stopped way back when I wasn't making any money doing this and nobody knew who I was. So you just stay in their face, man. It's just like, it's the relentlessness. And then when you hit something that you feel is a roadblock, it's not the end of the story. You just have to learn how to adjust and go a different direction, but it doesn't change.
Exactly.
Yeah. It doesn't change, the direction of where you want to go. It's just different ways to get there.
Become successful from failure.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's crucial. I try my hardest to look at every loss as a lesson. I feel like when a lot of people go through that, I grew up playing football my entire life, so it's like you got to know, especially as an athlete, how to take a loss and how to bounce back the next week. So I love that you guys give that advice.
Actually, on that note, I have one question for you guys.
Hit us.
What do you think you learn when someone wins? Like, what is to be learned from winning?
That is an amazing question. Like, what do you learn from somebody who wins? I think that for me, it's the joy I feel if I participated or helped from them winning. There's this overwhelming energy that they give off that I like to see. I think what you learn is that success will go into new successes. So that win, it just increases. They want that. I mean, for lack of a term, they want that drug. They want that feeling. They want that again. How do I get that again? Where do I go? How do I do that again? So I'd say that's for me. I don't know.
Exactly. When I look at a winner in any type of space, I always ask every single question what led them to that point. And like we talk about in this entire show is the losses, the failures, what you had to do in order to pivot and shift into a new lane that you knew was going to lead to your success. So I want everything step by step. I'm still old school with it where I need pen and a paper and I want to write it down step 1, step 2, step 3. That's how I learn best. And then when I get back out into the field, we talk about sales all the time. When I get back out into the field, now I know how to attack my day and my schedule and be more organized. Like you said, what sets me apart from the next agent out there, the next realtor, whatever it may be, whatever space you're in, you want to do whatever you can to set yourself apart and make sure that you leave a memorable mark on that person or that client that you talk to. So I love that you guys brought that up. Thank you for that. That's great. I like how they turn the tables on us. Like,
Mike, you have inspired a lot of people.
Thank you.
And have had an impact in many people's lives, people I know personally, who have every time your name comes up, it's the same thing. Like, I don't know why you wanted to help me. He just did, and it has impacted. And you definitely had an impact in the time that I was coming down and training. Really, fired me up to make some moves. So I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
I always will.
It's amazing.
And we're excited for this next journey, man.
I'm
As you should
so
be.
incredibly excited to see, and it's like cool. And you guys have this amazing energy, and this is a win.
Yes.
Feels like
huge, man.
That's what you want.
That's major.
You were talking earlier about stay in your lane. I love that line. I live by that. I teach people that. And so you're in this, going to be the world's greatest bodybuilding gym, a mecca for everyone to come there. Would you not staying in your lane is also whatever other products or lines? You're talking about your clothing company. So why don't you tell me about what you're planning to stay in your lane regarding this gym? Like, what other business ventures are you going into?
Oh, well, before the gym even launches, I already started working on having my own supplement line, and we do well international. I was in Dubai for 4 years, so we sold to the Middle East. We launched domestically earlier this year, and I understand that takes time to build, but it's going to be very organic having it in the gym. I believe in these supplements. Creatine, protein, BCAAs, pre-workout, that's our foundation. I believe every supplement line needs it, but we want to separate ourselves. As you mentioned earlier, that's how you rise to the top. Products that nobody has or is doing properly that could definitely be done better, such as creatine gummies and more that we're working on.
I like
Nice.
the creatine gummies.
I'm so excited about him saying that.
Right?
Anytime he goes in the gummy form, I'm like,
sugar?
You also have your PR wraps and belts.
Oh, and I have a patented lever buckle that uses a mechanism similar to ice skates, right, where it ratchets it in into place and locks in.
Nice.
So it's a really cool, innovative product that it's what I believe to be the most practical, lightweight, and aesthetic buckle for powerlifting belts on the market. And we're coming to market with that before the holidays.
That's great.
Nice.
And it's just one of the many ventures that I believe are going to help us rise to the top and tie everything together.
Yeah, and we're just talking about the synergy of when we first met and the things that we're doing. This is where this is kind of unfolded organically. Things that came from my side, things that came from Larry's side, now coming together. Some of my friends that are now like our CFO and lawyers and team people have come together from both ends, and we are in the process of manufacturing our own gym equipment. A lot of the machines in this new gym are one-off machines that nobody else has because we designed, and a relationship that we've had with the manufacturer for the last 20 years. We are coming up with our own line. We have some specialty powerlifting equipment, a one-off bench that is made just for Larry.
So you're
That's
really
amazing.
different from everybody
Jeez.
else.
So we have that. We partnered up, and Larry has his own flavor now of White Rabbit, which is the energy drink that we're both partnered up with. And
Congrats
so,
on that. That's amazing.
we partnered up on a meal prep company, so we'll be launching our own meal prep
Wow,
company
you guys
once
are
it
busy.
once it
Yeah.
starts. So we're
Sign me up.
yeah, within our space, right? We're also going to be working on a fitness app, like a personal trainer app that we're going to launch to the gym as well. So there's all these things that we've been doing, just all circled around the same
So
fitness.
how do I get these things other than showing up at your gym? Is there a one website, or is there something that people who are interested in purchasing these things, what should they do?
Right, so all of my products are available on purelifestyle.com.
Okay.
And White Rabbit is slowly making its way to every smoke shop, gas station, supermarket near you, but you can get it online at whiterabbit.com.
Okay.
Right, and for our equipment, you'll have to stay tuned for more information about that.
All right.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's awesome.
Well done.
And then onegengym.com will be the gym. And my coaching platform is Team Zero Gravity Fitness.
Thank you for being our first guest. I mean, I don't know if I can get anybody as great as the two of you, such winners. And so it's thrilling, and I'm excited about your future. I can't wait to see everything.
Yeah, it was a real pleasure having you guys on today. And another thing that I got to note to the audience too is even though these guys walked in super intimidating, they're some of the nicest guys that I've ever met and just a very warm, welcoming presence. So I really appreciate you guys coming
Absolutely.
on today.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us,
Thank
man.
you
It's
so
been a
much, guys.
pleasure.
Thank you guys. All right, guys, next up, we'd love to welcome our guest, Dr. Rob Yonover from Season 8 of Shark Tank and his company, Sea Rescue Streamer.
I'll let you take it away. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Dr. Rob Yonover from Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm a scientist and inventor. I invent survival gear for the military. I'm a big wave surfer. I'm kind of out of my mind. I'm always on the edge of dying, so that's why I invent survival gear. I invented a streamer when you're lost at sea or on land, and it locates your position. Unlike flare, smoke, and die that goes away, it gives you an everlasting signal. All the military's approved it. It's used all over the world. It's saved lives. And it all
Wow.
started just playing with a piece of plastic. And my wife told me to get a real job. You know,
So,
so
so let me ask you a question. So I'm a boater,
Yeah.
and I have like
Okay.
these e-perbs, or like
Sure.
usually,
Okay.
if it were to sink, it automatically generates a signal.
Yes,
And,
yes.
And I also have one of these watches, like the Emergency by Breitling. So these things don't really work.
well, they work, but they get you to the area. If you ever look at an aerial view of what the ocean looks like, next time you're flying a plane over the ocean, look down. That's how I invented it. Looking down at water in a single engine plane that I thought was going to crash, going, even if they know exactly where you are with your EPIRB and your watch, they still need a visual. And how big's your head? Your head's big as a coconut. Have you ever seen a coconut floating in the water from an airplane?
I have a very large head, so
I know, but still, you have even a double coconut wouldn't work.
So Dr. Rob, did you
Yes.
always want to be an entrepreneur, or did you just see a problem in the world and you said, hey, I want to find a product to fix that problem?
I was brought up in a family, and our credo was just say no to real jobs. And my father was a tinkerer. He was World War II, Battle of the Bulge, Purple Heart guy, and he was a flexible guy. He invented, you guys are too young, but metal Social Security plates where they stamp your name in a plate. He built this business out of his house. It went 60 years into his 90s. So we saw a guy working, and one of the books I wrote, Hardcore Inventing, was going to be entitled Inventing in Your Underwear, as an homage to my father. So I saw the lifestyle. He was able to take us fishing or hang out, but my friends would come over and I'd say, hey man, can you put some pants on, Dad? You don't be running around the underwear, and his phone's ringing. So I always saw the remote working, flexible schedule, the value of that.
In regards to Shark Tank, because obviously we briefly know about that history. So
Sure.
even though, no deal was done, After your episode came out, how did Shark Tank positively and negatively affect your life, your business, and moving forward from there?
Well, of course, it was a risk to go on there because Mr. Wonderful might have made fun of me or something. But in reality, all 5 sharks liked it, which was great. National TV. It's been rerun on CNBC in the last 5 years, like 80 times. So it's been absolutely a positive experience.
That's amazing.
And because Mr. Wonderful made fun of all those people, I purposely asked him to help me demonstrate the streamer because I knew that he was bald and short, and I wanted to look down on his head for all the people he gave.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's been very positive, but it was a risk. It was a lot of pressure.
So you feel you feel that there's no such thing as bad press.
Pretty much. I mean, and unless they uncover something really bad I'm doing, But I have my conscience is clear. So yes, I'm all in the press. Absolutely. I'm one of the original guerrilla marketing guys. And in fact, the streamer started 30 years ago when I invented it. My brother was an advertising guy. He goes, writers, editors of magazines are sitting on their ass wondering what to write about. He goes, you should tell them. And in the olden days, I don't know if you guys remember fax machines.
Yes, I do.
But in Hawaii, at 11 o'clock, it was cheaper to send a fax or a phone call. So every night at 11:01, I would do a fax press release to all the editors, to all the magazines. And I'm what I call a polite pain in the ass. I'm going to bother you till you do what I want you to do. So Outside Magazine, it took me 3 years to get them to write about it. Just, wow. Hey, you want to write a story now? No, I can't. Can I call you back in a month, 3 months? I just kept calling them.
Wow.
And send out 100 faxes at a time. It's like fishing. You get 100 lines in the water, you catch one, reel it in. The first article was Miami Herald. I took that and faxed that out 100 times to get more and more press and work that not only with the consumers and the magazines, but also with the military. I would send them like a blanket carpet bombing of presses. So I wanted them to honestly and fairly evaluate the technology. And they did. And when they tested it, it worked. So
how big
press is good press.
So how big is your company today, if you don't mind me asking?
It's tiny. I want to be. In reality, people think it's huge. I'm on SpaceX. I'm on new F-16s.
Wow.
But I've tried to stay low overhead, and even going on Shark Tank, that was my pivotal move because I had licensed the technology for 15 years to a company here in Hawaii, and they paid me guaranteed royalties, and they built 10 or 20 people up to do this and supply them all over the world. But when the license ended, I took it back, and my friend said, and I started to try to scramble to get a new licensee. My friend that makes my surfboards on the North Shore said, "Hey, man, do you know how to make them?" I go, "Yeah, I invented how to make them." He goes, "Why don't you make them and keep all the money yourself?" I'm like, well, that's a good idea. So I basically sub out whatever I need, and I stay lean and mean. It's a family operation, and it works well. I mean, one of my big fears and goals is to get a huge, and we've gotten big orders in the past, but that's also a fear. If I have a 100,000 unit order, I can't make them with a handful of people, right? And I want to stay lean and mean. I want it to stay small because if you get too big, you get competitors, and I don't want to do it offshore. It's also made in the USA, which helps going through the military.
So have you looked at potentially, lobbying Congress or talking to your congressman or something in terms of making it mandatory, because it sounds like a safety item that is pretty like. So how much is the product other than that question?
It's $95 on Amazon.
Wow. Nice. So have you looked to do that with your congressman?
And it's this big, okay? It fits in your pocket.
So is it?
There it is.
Wow.
The little one, the big one is larger. I just dropped it. Hold on. It won't blow up. Don't worry.
Oh, so it is actually explosive. It
no, I'm kidding. It's just a piece of plastic. Oh, that's
scared
the beauty
me for
of
a second.
I'm kidding. No, that's everything else blows up. Flares, smoke, sea dye. That's all chemicals. That stuff will blow up or get your hands fluorescent green with toxic stuff or whatever that is. But no, we lobbied back when I had the licensee. We lobbied our senators and military, and that led to a lot of even bigger contracts. But the mandate is and that's what I was pitching on Shark Tank, and that's where Mark Cuban goes, look, it's a what do you say? It's fine. it's either a hit or miss. You either get it, or you spend all this money trying to get it. It's either a home run or a strikeout. And he wasn't interested in a gamble like that. But it should be. Probably before I die or after I die, it'll be mandated. There'll be streamers on every life jacket and every life raft.
So how much money were you asking for? Like when you go on?
That was the other. I thought by going on and asking for a little, they would have like a bidding war. I think I asked for 200,000 or small money, and they were like, "Oh, it's going to cost a lot more." But I was warned, don't ask for too much because then Mr. Wonderful will come down on me on my valuation. So I think that hurt me a little because I should ask for $500,000 or $1 million, but I didn't want to get into this. Oh, it's not worth it. The valuation is there.
So at 250,000, well, your profit per unit must be pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. And you know something? I get offered money all the time. And I'm sure after this airs, people email me, hey, I'll invest. But I don't really want other people's money at this point because then I got a partner. And a partner's a hassle. That's someone even if I'm the boss, I got to answer to it. And I know this is counter to most people's business concept, but you see what happens in business. They build it up and the founder gets thrown out. I don't want to do that. I mean, I'm looking to get bought out. If someone wants to buy it for $5 or $10 million, call me. But I don't want $100,000. What am I going to do with that? You're going to call me all the time and say, how's it going? I really, I don't want to talk to you. Not you personally, but
that's all right. People say that,
Plus, I'm old. I don't have time for this stuff. I don't need to worry about pleasing someone. And even Mark Cuban and all those guys, they loved it. But even if I made a deal, you think I'd be talking to Mark Cuban every day? I've been talking to some 30-year-old punk in his office telling me what to do. And they tell me, move from Hawaii, put your office, put the factory in the mainland, go to these trade shows. I'm like, no. So, I would do it.
So you're completely satisfied and you do not want to expand this. I'm getting.
That's correct. I do. I know. I want to expand sales. I'm all about sales. Everyone that approaches me, I ask them, and they all want to make some sort of deal. I go, it's very simple. And I have reps all over the world, military reps and civilian. I have an Amazon rep. I have reps. I want purchase orders, and I will sell you product. You can resell it.
There we go.
That's what I want. That's all I want. Very clean. Or someone buy it for $5 million or $10 million, and then I will consult for them and help them get a mandate and make it. That's really what I would like.
There we go.
No one's going to do that. No one's going to do that.
Hey,
they might be. It takes a lot of guts.
They might be out there somewhere. But Dr. Rob, thank you so much for your time today.
My
We're
pleasure.
so grateful to have you on as our next guest, and we're very grateful for what you've given us today.
Thank you. So it was my pleasure, guys. Take care.
Have a great day, sir.
You too.
All right.
Have a great day.
Just finishing up our first episode, Mike, and I have to say this is an amazing first episode. I thought it was just truly perfect. And what really resonated with me with talking with Larry and Ryan is that Larry was kind of admitting that, sometimes he's a nice guy, he's too nice. And, I think that resonates for a lot of people. And especially when he said, hey, a lot of people come up to him asking to start gyms. And he's like, yeah, no, I can't. I can't do that with you. I have to do it with someone that I trust. And I feel like that's crucial in the world that we live in because a lot of people will just kind of take opportunities and say, hey, yeah, let's do it. Let's give it a shot. But you truly have to acknowledge and trust that person that you're going to create that partnership with. So I really thought that was a great takeaway for me.
It was interesting because I was there. First of all, I want to say, I am proud to do the show with you, and you're amazing. Actually, more of a natural than I am at this. So it's been terrific. It's an honor to do it with you. So.
I thank you so much, brother, for bringing me on and creating this union, this partnership that we have. So this is definitely a great first episode. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate the whole thing. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what we see here is that you have to have a good partnership. No one can really be alone. All business is done with others. It's very rare that someone can just be alone and creative. And it's always about teamwork. And so, seeing a great team come to fruition here is terrific. It feels really good. And I feel great to see and be part of that and to see their success. So
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing that I took away with Dr. Rob, too, is the fact that obviously his guerrilla marketing routine and his style with that, I think is just very impressive. And especially the fact that he kind of admitted, he's like, hey, I'm not here to do this to make $1 billion. Like, I just saw a problem. I wanted to fix it. And he's just truly passionate about his craft. And so I really do respect that.
I think he is passionate about, he lives in Hawaii. He's living his dream. He's, finding needs and he's satisfying them. And, money wasn't the ultimate goal for him. It was, following his dreams and following his passion. So, that was fantastic.
Man's living in paradise. He's happy. I got to respect it. All right. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us here today on Read the Tape. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of our channels and all of our platforms, and we'll see you next week.
At
Read
the
Tape.
There you go. We're on all the platforms, including ones that have not been invented yet. Looking for those platforms right now. We'll see you next week.